Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. It's a video lesson for grade 7 general science, unit number 8, respiration. Dear students, objective of the lesson, you have watched already previous videos, 3 videos for respiration. Now it's a fourth video of a video lesson of unit number 8. So in this video lesson particularly, we will be able to see respiration without oxygen in plants, how much energy is produced without oxygen in plants. And what is fermentation? It is another name of anaerobic respiration without oxygen. So we will see its definition, and we will have an experiment also to understand the process of fermentation. So here, energy without oxygen in plants we have to discuss. It is again an anaerobic respiration, in which plants, like animals, they also not use oxygen to release energy from food. It means they can also, like animals, plants can also respire anaerobically, not using oxygen. However, plants do not produce lactic acid, but the chemical they produce instead of lactic acid in anaerobic respiration is ethanol. They also produce they produce ethanol, that is instead of lactic acid during anaerobic respiration. So you can see anaerobic respiration without oxygen. It also takes place in plants, and the equation for the respiration, anaerobic respiration in plant is, you can see that glucose is broken down without oxygen to give you ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. But animals, what they do, how they respire anaerobically, they will respire anaerobically by breaking down glucose without oxygen. They will give here lactic acid instead ethanol, carbon dioxide, and less amount of energy. So here we can see that energy without oxygen means anaerobic respiration in plants. Which plants they will respire anaerobically? So you can see in the picture the plants, they are being submerged into the water, and the soil is waterlogged soil, and these plants that are living in the waterlogged soil, they will respire anaerobically, means they will respire without oxygen. And how does anaerobic respiration work? You can see that there is another microbe, yeast. It is microscopic fungus. Here you can see in the diagram, this is example, this is yeast, that is microscopic fungus. It also respires anaerobically depending on the oxygen level. When little or no oxygen is present, yeast breaks down glucose into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and less amount of energy. This process is also called as fermentation. And the microbe yeast use energy to live by respiring anaerobically or by the fermentation. So you came to know that what is fermentation. Fermentation is another name for anaerobic respiration, and especially it takes place with the microbes. And the microbe, here we are using example of yeast. It can be of many different kinds, and you can see here is an apparatus where the fermentation can take place, in which you have kept a yeast from different sources, and it can be using it can break glucose into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy, less amount of energy. And how in this way yeast use energy to live, that energy that is being produced by fermentation. So here you can see that an important fact from your book, that plants respire to produce carbon dioxide and water from glucose all the time. It means that plants, they respire all the time, 24 hours of the day, but they carry photosynthesis only during daytime. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants can make their food using chlorophyll present in the plant. So why it happens so only daytime? Because daytime you can see sunlight is there, so that is very important component or factor for the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process by which plants they make their own food by using carbon dioxide and oxygen, carbon dioxide and water from the roots, and sunlight present in the chlorophyll of the leaves. Carbon dioxide react with water to give a glucose and produces oxygen. So also we can say that photosynthesis is a reverse process for respiration. It takes place during day when the sunlight is there, but respiration it takes place all the time, 24 hours of the day. All the time plants need to respire, but photosynthesis only during the daytime. Now here is experiment to see the product produced by fermentation, that is carbon dioxide. So we will set up an experiment over here. You can see this picture. It's a beaker and it's a test tube. Two test tubes are there. In the first test tube that is being dipped into the beaker with hot water at 40 degrees centigrade. This test tube contains yeast and glucose solution. The yeast, when respire, it will break down the glucose, and without oxygen, you can see it's a airtight test tube. No oxygen is inside the container or a test tube. So what is the product of when the yeast is respiring without oxygen? It will break down glucose and it will give carbon dioxide. So we want to check the presence of carbon dioxide, either carbon dioxide has been produced or not. So carbon dioxide, when produced, move into this delivery tube, and in this test tube here it contains calcium hydroxide, that is a lime water. This lime water is colorless solution. When carbon dioxide from yeast is coming here in this test tube, carbon dioxide will turn this solution, colorless solution of calcium hydroxide lime water, into milky color. So carbon dioxide has a tendency to turn calcium hydroxide lime water milky. So that is a test that we can also perform in the laboratory. So now when we finish our lesson, you will read your lesson from book page number 100 and 101, 100 and 101. So test yourself as 101, that you will be able to answer when you read the lesson, and you will read your book and watch your video lesson. So let's have a question number 1, that is, what do plants produce instead of lactic acid during anaerobic respiration? So you can easily explain that plants instead of producing lactic acid anaerobically like animals, they will produce alcohol, that is called as ethanol, and carbon dioxide. So here you can see that question number 2 of test yourself tells us that it's write down equation for anaerobic respiration in plants. That plants, they respire without oxygen, glucose is changed into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. So here you can see question number 3. This question is, what is another name for anaerobic respiration in plants? That is one word answer, that is fermentation. So fermentation is another name of anaerobic respiration, in which yeast cells, they will break down glucose into ethanol and carbon dioxide and little amount of energy. So by looking question number 4, that is from Test Yourself, page 101. List 3 things that yeast needs to ferment. That are exactly, yeast needs glucose, water, and little temperature, as you have seen in the experiment, that is 40 degrees Celsius. So a fermentation will takes place. Fermentation means anaerobic respiration. Yeast cell will respire anaerobically. It will do fermentation in which sugar is broken down without oxygen at certain warm temperature, that is 40 degrees centigrade, and the product are ethanol, that is called as alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. So here is another question, that is, explain why it is not good idea to water plants too often. So reason is, watering potted plants too often is harmful. If you are having a lot of watering to your potted plants, what happens? The soil becomes waterlogged. As you can see here, the plants, they are dipped into the water, they will start respiring anaerobically, and the end product of anaerobic respiration is alcohol. And if plant will respire in this waterlogged situation, what happens? Anaerobic respiration product is alcohol, that is ethanol, that is harmful for the plant roots and even for the whole plants. And if the level of alcohol in the cell becomes too high, it can kill the plants. So that is why it is not good idea for to water potted plants too often. So now it's the last question from Test Yourself, dear student, that is how yogurt contains living bacteria. So it's an information that yogurt, it contains living bacteria. Yogurt, that is a food that you can see in this picture, that you also use in your daily routine. So it contains bacteria. That bacteria is a microbe, but this microbe is not harmful to our body, it's useful to our body. This bacteria are also capable of anaerobic respiration. If a sealed cartoon of yogurt, here you can see sealed cartoon of yogurt, is left for a long time, the lid bulges upward. Suggest what it's happened? Yes, it will bulge upward, and you can see here the yogurt also present after some time will showing you rising. Why there is a rise in the level of yogurt, even in the sealed container or into the container, as you can see in the picture? So we will have a reason there. Yes, the answer is carbon dioxide is produced during anaerobic respiration. So carbon dioxide, which is produced during anaerobic respiration, if the sealed container of yogurt is left for a long time, its lid will bulges due to the accumulation of too much carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide production just rises the level of the yogurt inside, and it bulges the lid upward. Here in open container also the same situation can takes place. Thank you very much, dear students. You can watch this video lesson to have your concepts, and you will be able to answer, test yourself, read your book, make MCQs, and enjoy your learning science. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.